Imagine waking up with a splitting headache. Your doctor's solution? Pin you down, grab a sharpened rock, and carve a perfectly square hole directly into your skull with no anesthesia. Sound like a death sentence? What if I told you that 1,000 years ago you had a better chance of surviving that exact surgery on top of a mountain in Peru than a soldier fighting in the American Civil War? We like to think of medical history as a straight line. We assume humans stumbled around in the Dark Ages until we suddenly invented antibiotics and sterile scalpels. But the artifacts we're looking at today prove that the textbooks are lying to us. Our ancestors were performing high-level surgeries, using precision tools, and understanding human anatomy thousands of years before the modern era. Today, we're cracking open the lost medical history they didn't teach you in school. Let's go back to the mountains of South America. Between 1000 and 1400 AD, Incan surgeons performed a procedure called trepanation, scraping or drilling holes into the human skull to treat head injuries or relieve severe pressure. You'd think taking a piece of volcanic glass to the brain would be a guaranteed death, but when modern anthropologists examined over 800 ancient Incan skulls, they found something impossible. The bone around the holes had healed. These patients didn't just survive the operation, they lived for years afterward. By the 1400s, the survival rate for Incan skull surgery was a staggering 80 to 90%. To put that into perspective, during the American Civil War, nearly 500 years later, the survival rate for cranial surgery was barely 50%. The Incans mastered infection control and cranial anatomy without a single microscope. But if you think 500 years is a massive jump, try 9,000 years. Let's travel to the Indus Valley civilization. In 2006, archaeologists made a horrifying yet brilliant discovery in a Neolithic graveyard. They found the teeth of 11 different individuals that had been deliberately drilled into. We aren't talking about crude chipping. These were perfectly concentric holes, just millimeters wide, carved into the enamel of molars in the back of the mouth. How? Ancient dentists used specialized bow drills equipped with tiny flint drill bits. It took immense precision to hollow out rotting cavities without destroying the tooth or hitting the nerve. 9,000 years ago, someone sat in a mud brick clinic, opened wide, and let a prehistoric dentist go to work with a high-speed flint drill. Moving from dentistry to full-blown plastic surgery. In the 6th century BCE, an ancient Indian physician named Sushruta wrote the Sushruta Samhita. It wasn't just a book of herbal remedies, it was a surgical masterclass. At the time, a common punishment for crimes was the amputation of the nose. Sushruta developed a highly complex procedure to rebuild it. He described taking a leaf, measuring the missing nose, and using that exact template to cut a flap of living skin from the patient's cheek or forehead. He would then twist the flap, attach it to the nasal stump, and insert 2 hollow river reeds so the patient could breathe while the flesh fused and healed. This procedure, invented over 2,500 years ago, is known today as the Indian method. It was so advanced that when British surgeons finally observed it in the 1700s, it completely revolutionized modern reconstructive surgery. The Western world didn't invent plastic surgery, they just borrowed it from ancient India. We look at our modern hospitals and think we've reached the absolute peak of human intelligence, but these ancient surgeons were saving lives with volcanic glass, flint, and river reeds. They possessed a deep, lost knowledge of the human body that we are only just beginning to rediscover. Progress isn't a straight line. Sometimes it's a forgotten circle. If you want to keep digging into the impossible history that challenges everything we know, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a comment down below. Which of these ancient surgeries would you actually be brave enough to endure? See you in the next one.